Episode 621. Here we are.
Having fun.
We were just saying before we started recording that usually the video version of this show is my episode, like when I talk the most. But this, because we skipped a day over Memorial Day week, it got changed. Now it's a Sarah episode.
And it's funny you say where you talk the most, because let's be real, I'm going to talk the most
more.
in all of them. Yeah, right.
More than usual. Yeah, you're more wordy, but I like to think
that's probably not a good thing. I feel like I've read a study somewhere that said people who use more words know less or something like that.
Well, not in a podcast. I mean, really, we sort of rely on that. Like, it wouldn't be a very good show if it were just me.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, I read this thing.
Hey.
What do you think about it?
Get me talking. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How the hell are you? How the hell are you?
You know, Susie and I were talking about this before we came on the air. And I feel like, my podcast fam is like my family, so I can just open up and share it with you.
Yeah.
It was kind of a not weird, but my ex-husband got remarried. This, week or last week or something like that.
Yeah.
And
that's unnerving.
Kind of a weird moment. That's kind of like an interesting event.
It is an interesting
even
event.
if it's not, it was just there. It was an interesting emotional experience, and I don't think I thought it was going to be like that.
Yeah,
and not like good or bad.
Yeah, it just forces you to think about stuff. That's just the nature of life.
Yeah, and kind of like the ways that we as a society label success or achievement in life.
Right, because when we first spoke about it, you had more feelings about it than I expected, but it wasn't the kind where it's like longing or something or regret.
That's not it.
No, it was more like you were thinking about how people perceive other people, whether it's through social media or whatever, and make assessments based on just that little glimpse.
100%. And the same way when people saw me in my marriage, there was this thought and idea, oh my gosh, she's so happy and things are so good. When the reality was, I wasn't happy and things weren't good and I wasn't living my authentic life and wasn't connected to who I really was and what I wanted. But the perception was like people were almost envious of what I had.
Yeah.
And it's so backwards. And even in this situation now where I have never been happier or more content in my life. Yeah. More than happy, I think it's content and really getting to experience the feelings of joy. I was on this camping trip a little bit ago, and I just remember looking at the mountain range and, where I was and just thinking this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think this is the actual point of life right now. I was having the same feelings inside, like those little butterfly excited feelings that you have when you were a little kid and it was Christmas morning and, you were so excited or you were going to do those feelings that we've been kind of chasing forever as adults. So we're that childhood sense of wonder and amazement and happiness and
optimism.
Optimism. Well, I'm good at that. Hope, all that. And I was feeling that. And it was just so, you have to be so present and aware, but it's also a very personal experience. Mm-hmm. Nobody could look at me right then and say, oh, she's having that internal experience.
That's why I think it's so weird that we all fall for the same tricks on social media.
That it's like
We
crazy that social media is the reason why I'm having these thoughts.
Yeah. That we all look at people's presentation and decide whether they have it together, whether they're happy, whether they seem successful, whatever.
Right.
Even though we know whether or not we are when we post certain things and how they don't always match what people perceive.
Yes. And that
It's
is
so weird.
And that is, it's so, I wish it, I mean, when I talk about it and when, Susie and I can share and I can talk to you guys, listeners, about this, I'm just like flushing out feelings and processing all of it. And it's not like I feel like I don't have those things that are wonderful. It's, it just, I think the nature of what social media is and what and when we want something and we see that, we imagine the other person's experience is similar to the thing that we are craving or wanting.
Yes.
When that is
They
not...
have that thing I want. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You always say it better.
Yeah. No, you got it right.
That is it. They have the thing I want, but the reality is that's not... That's... I don't know.
So interesting. I totally get what you're saying, though. Because you can intellectually look at... I'm not talking about your ex. I'm just saying in general. You can look at a couple...
Yes.
And maybe you know something about them and like, they are not happy. I would never want their marriage.
Right.
But yet you can still have that feeling of like, but I want a marriage or I want a partner or whatever.
Yes.
And so it's like these dissonant feelings at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then I totally project on Sarah. Like she's trying to talk to me about her own life. And I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of how I feel about Johnny or whatever. Like, because I feel like a lot of times with certain people from, reality TV on their Instagram, it sure looks glamorous.
Oh, Susie, you are connecting all the dots here. 100%. Keep going. Love it.
It looks like success. It looks fun. It looks, like I said, glamorous. And then my life is not that. I have the opposite of a glamorous life. And so you start to think like, people perceive that person as being successful and they think I'm not. And then Sarah and I both, I know, have experienced this feeling of like we invested so much time into our education, which we're proud of.
Right.
And was
an
a
education
wonderful
that
thing.
Like doesn't come with a big paycheck.
Yeah, the religion store wasn't hiring.
Right.
Like we didn't choose the most lucrative fields.
Right. Yeah.
And so you have to just be like externally? I want external validation. Excuse me.
Hello.
So, it's easy to get tripped up by that stuff.
Yeah.
It just is.
And that's the part that's so frustrating is that separated from that world, if I cut off social media or this like I don't know, whatever you
just
want.
The noise of
that
outside,
the shoulds, the expectations, all that, then I am so satisfied and I am so content.
Well, I know, that's the thing.
And that is just like it you can't look away.
Yeah. It's a daily practice of being grateful, focused.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. That's what we kind of decided on. It comes down to like these are opportunities to really practice gratitude. Yeah. And to be so thankful for the things that create that feeling that I had of feeling content and happy.
Yeah. And that
they
you have
don't
to be
photograph.
okay with. Yeah.
So you're just going to have to take my word that I'm living my best life. And also, you know what this is? We're processing now. This is it. These are the feelings about the feelings. This is me being upset that I am a person who cares that people may think that I'm not living my best life because I'm not remarried already or like in a relationship or having a kid. And I really am. And the fact that I feel like I have to fight a perceived image of me that is not even accurate to my own understanding of self. Hey,
I know.
That makes me feel mad at me for thinking that. So the feelings about the feelings that we beat ourselves up over. And then we have to get down to like underneath layers of like, what is it that I really yearn for under all of that? And I think, oh my gosh, this makes me emotional. Whoa, it's like being in therapy. I think it's truly acceptance for just being me.
Right. Yeah. That's
what
we
all
want.
I didn't know I was going to cry.
I love it. We did it, everybody. We made it happen.
Processed.
You know what? If you need
therapy
help
with Susie is
processing,
great.
you guys, you can't all come to therapist Susie. Some of you have to go to BetterHelp. That is the deal.
If there weren't a better segue, I don't know what is. See, all you need is somebody who's going to hold that space for you, reflect some of the things that are going on in your life so you could think about it in a different way, maybe like what we just did right here.
Right.
And gosh darn if somebody on BetterHelp can't help you with that. I don't know. Come on. Hello.
That's the thing. This isn't rocket science, but it's in a way it seems more complicated because humans' emotions are so messy. So we all need someone to sort of, as she said, hold that space, help us process all these complex emotions, the emotions about the emotions, the feelings about the feelings. It's a lot. We all need help. Being a person is hard. And BetterHelp is there for you. It's customized online therapy, offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist. You don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. You don't have to go to an office. And it's affordable. And you can find someone in under 48 hours who specializes in whatever you need, grief, relationship stuff, maybe just stress. And our listeners, Brain Candy listeners, get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/braincandy. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/braincandy. Give it a try if you're thinking about it.
Absolutely. It always helps to talk to people.
But the thing is, too, though, Sarah, because I'm divorced. My husband is remarried and has had kids with his next wife. And it was a little different because we were never, like there was no sense of, what do you call, like antagonism or, not that there was with you and your ex necessarily, but like most marriages, there's sort of like antagonism that exists. And for me, I never wished him anything but good. It just wasn't a good match for us when we broke up. And so I felt comforted that he had found someone because he really did deserve somebody special. And I think he probably found a better match than we were. I married him when I was 22. Wow. Yeah. And he was my professor, which probably he would get canceled now if that happened. You know what I mean? Like things have changed, like that whole relationship. And then when we didn't grow together, you know how you have to kind of grow together.
Absolutely.
I kind of grew up and was like, oh, I don't want this anymore.
You have to grow.
Yeah. I wasn't a full-fledged human yet.
Yeah.
So, but I also didn't have like the social media thing. If I had to be confronted with like him like being quote unquote happy, quote unquote successful, whatever it appeared, I would probably get grossed out. I just never had to deal with that. And so I imagine that adds a whole nother layer of like, is this real? And then because your marriage and miscarriage was publicized.
Right. That is it.
Then so many people were aware of it. And Johnny even spoke about like your marriage and how like, I chose to keep the money because she was with someone successful. She doesn't need the money. Stuff like that. Like it was all intertwined into your personal narrative. and your online narrative,
Yep.
it really complicates stuff.
Exactly. It's very frustrating to me that when you Google my name, the top things that come up are situations that I was in with a man.
That's exactly right. It's all with men. Johnny took your money.
Yes.
You married Landon. You divorced Landon.
That's what I'm saying. I'm fighting for like acceptance of who I really am, apart from
men,
others, from like these men I'm associated with. This, Susie, this goes so deep because this goes down to childhood stuff with my dad.
Yes,
that I am defined by the things that person did to me that then created.
I'm like,
this is
exclamation. Yes,
right.
That's
why I came up, like, Susie and I were talking about this before, and, like, I got, like, a whole bunch of brainy stuff, too, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I feel like we gotta, like, talk about this because I know I'm not alone in this kind of feeling with other people who are listening.
Yeah. Yours is a more extreme version because there are headlines. It's an extreme
version, but isn't it extreme versions that illustrate the kind of things that are, like, and we can go, like, oh, yeah, I see that. How elements of that are similar in, you know, what I'm experiencing with X, Y, and Z, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, personally, I found the whole thing weird because of, like, my experience with your ex, but I can only imagine. And then I told you, I kept thinking about it. And, like, it kept recurring. You know when a thought just keeps coming back to your brain? Mm-hmm. And you're like, what do I need to do about this? What do I need to process about this? But it's what you're saying. It's all of the stuff, the perceptions that people have, the ways in which our relationships with men define us, how shitty that can feel, how it can feel so unjust to do the, quote, right thing and invest in your mind, get an education, and to have people that, like, you know, from the show that just are like, I'm loud. And then that makes them all this money. Right. That's hard to accept.
It is hard to accept,
right? We're over here being like,
really
I saw
comes
a documentary.
down to like, you know what? This is what it comes down is. You have to 100% do it for you. I have to really, and when I go back to that, which is gratitude and all that kind of stuff too, and I go back to. Why? What is my motivation? Why am I even doing this? And what matters to me? The truth is I could not live any other way. I couldn't be anything else.
Well, we'd be miserable, which so are they.
And that's it. It's like, right.
And by they, I just mean all my enemies. Right? Like, I for real mean it. Like, all these people, I know you're miserable. Mm-hmm. There is 0% chance that you're fulfilled because you're hot garbage. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. And I'll say this is completely separate from what is going on in my ex's life. This is completely I'm
just saying in general.
I hope that everything that I see is authentic and that those are that it is real there. For me, it wasn't.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
So that would be. I wish that so much, and I hope yes, that is lives over there and is separate, and then my feelings are over here, and that is something that influences them. But I think it's more of the thing that we were kind of breaking down in our discussion is the perception that the outside world has of what's going on in my life more than the things that are going on in somebody else's life, in comparison to mine. Kind of thing.
Well, because everyone knows it. Everyone knows the bullet points that you're supposed to hit. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to go to college. Right. Then you're supposed to start your career. Then you're supposed to find someone and marry them. Right. And then you're supposed to have babies.
And a house.
And success. And you're supposed to love it and never complain about it.
Right.
and then you retire, and then you die. Like,
Right.
these are the bullet points.
Yeah.
And so if your life doesn't happen to match that specific trajectory,
Right.
whether or not you're happy, content, whatever, you're seen by some as
Correct.
somewhat of a failure.
Right. So that's correct.
Right.
That is it. Where there's this feeling of, do people think I've lost in this game or in this competition somehow? That really goes with the narrative of like who Sarah is as other people see them.
It's like how I'm like, we get it.
See?
You're the underdog.
Right.
Right.
See? That's it. It's like, even the way that I have been portrayed
Yes.
on television, the
Yeah.
persona that has been assigned to me by the viewers, the production company, the world around me, is the underdog who frequently gets screwed over.
Right. Like,
That's
she's
kind of a
the
weird
sexual
thing
abuse
to, like-
victim.
Yes.
She's the quote unquote, like you were seen as
Weird
chubby,
one.
which is absurd.
Yeah.
Like, we can all acknowledge that that's fucked up and insane.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what was put on you.
Correct.
Like, size 2. Uh-oh.
Right.
She had a ding dong. She had a hostess cupcake or whatever. Martha Dump Truck, whatever they called her.
Right, Martha Dump Truck. Fuck everybody. Ugh. That's what they called me on the challenge, if you're wondering what that reference is. Yeah, because on the challenge, they called, like, this
It's
is exactly...
beyond.
It's
It is
beyond.
like,
It's
right
crazy.
just now thinking about it is like, I can't believe that happened.
It's all, like, so this is, like, and I have to, okay, this is like becoming like a big fucking
I know,
pity
it's a
party
whole
for
thing.
Sarah, and
No.
I hate this. Like,
It's not a
I
pity
don't
party.
want this to be
We're
that. I don't want this
processing.
to be like, but I just want this to illustrate the importance of all of the individual being able to create their own narrative and be the deciders of their own identity.
Yeah.
I would like to be responsible for my idea of who I am, independent from externals. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
I want to feel content and satisfied with who I am in my own mind, based on my own judgment, moral, whatever, values, things that are important, separate from whatever else all this bullshit is around me, or the people think, or, oh, I haven't done this yet, or I'm too old to do this, or I'm too the wrong shape or size or color or what the fuck ever to do this, or all of that. I feel like we can all relate to that feeling. And it's so important to be able to be the ones who decide who we are. And
Well,
it's
and
hard to
ours
share that.
happened on television, but for a lot of people, it happens in families. Your family
Yes.
decides who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you get this sort of
100%.
label. You're this kid, whatever label.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you're like, but can I change? Can I evolve? Can I dispute that? Can I object?
Right.
Not really,
Sometimes no. Right. You are this way in your family.
which everyone hates. Mm-hmm. Can you think
And then
of,
we have to, yeah.
is there a person on the challenge, by the way, that you can remember got like a nickname, like a man on the challenge that got a nickname about like his violence?
Nope. Not in one. No.
Because
Please.
what made me think of that is how people ended up calling Camilla the Camillinator. Right? She got like a name for her that was bestowed
Yep.
upon her. She didn't call herself
Yep.
that. And I was like,
Kill a cam.
did any man ever get a name?
I don't think so.
I can't think of one.
I can't think of any example. Ooh, that is a good little.
Well, because once it's
interesting-
named,
Right.
I mean,
a
that's
thing.
a thing. Yeah.
That is so interesting.
I'll tell you a thing I actually love.
Yes, please.
And it is the backbone device that my son is using
Oh!
nonstop.
This is so cool.
It is so cool. You know how you're like, oh, that's the last thing my kid needs is like another way to play fun games. Okay, but this is great.
I love how Susie's like my kid, and in my mind I'm like, this is all me playing it. This is
well, you do
this
love
is for me.
You love a game. Video, like if anybody that plays video games, doesn't have to be a kid, it can be anybody. It will transform your iPhone into like a handheld console. So you can play anywhere, anytime. So like if you're not around your PlayStation, you can still play that game. And it connects to like, I don't know where you people buy all these games. App Store.
Yeah. Susie doesn't know anything.
PlayStation. I know.
Yes.
Well, thank God Adam does. And
yes,
and then
that's right.
He teaches me that. But I just think it's so fun because he loves it. It like you just pop your iPhone or whatever phone into it, and then it becomes like a console. It's really cool, and he's so enjoying it.
Play wherever without taking that big old box with you.
Yeah, like if you have a PlayStation, Xbox, PC, or whatever, you can play the games you already own with Remote Play or the Steam Link app.
Yes.
Go to
she does know. See, she said Steam Link app. She knows.
I know things.
She knows things.
Go to playbackbone.com/braincandy now to order your Backbone until June 30th and get free access to over 350 console games and perks, including 1 month free of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, 1 month free of Apple Arcade, 2 months free of Google Stadia Pro, and 3 months free of Discord Nitro. Find your next adventure at playbackbone.com/braincandy. It's so fun. It is. It just is. And it's like summertime. People, these kids need
I was thinking the same thing. Like, yeah.
Keep them entertained.
Yes.
Any hoodles.
Any hoodles.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
Yeah. It's just, I think, like anything, milestones, like moments, big moments in life work as markers that, like, they help us reflect on the past, look towards the future, big moments.
Like when people come to you and they feel upset that it feels like all the wrong people are prospering or getting ahead. Right. Like, what is the antidote for that besides gratitude?
Well, really nothing. That's it.
Yeah, you just have
gratitude. And then I go through a few things, wants and needs. What is it that you want? What is it that you need? Mm-hmm. Because often it's so different than what you'd get from any of these other things or these externals, things like that. Mm-hmm. And then really highlighting, like redefining success.
Yeah.
I think that is the most important, that we have to get through, like, not just the definition of the word, but the meaning that it holds to us, what that represents to us. I will be able to, like, success to me equals blah, blah, blah. Then you have to ask why and keep asking why. So if success means financial, like having a lot of money, why? Well, because with financial security, I can get to do the things I want to do. Why? Because I want, why? And getting deeper and deeper and deeper and just keep asking why and keep going into those deep things. I think you're able to redefine what success means, because a lot of times what that boils down to is I want to have the ability to have time with my family away from work, to do, like, connect and do the things that I want to do. And it's almost like I want success so that like financial success, so I can enjoy all these things, like, away from the work stuff, like the opposite of what creates financial success.
Yeah.
So when you really get down to that, then you can say, well, maybe making a bunch of money isn't the important thing. Maybe it's spending time with family. So why don't we prioritize that and see what happens in your life when we change that, switch that, those priorities in your mind. And sometimes the financial success comes with that. Well, often it does, when you're aligned with what your values are, what really matters to you, what your wants and needs are.
Well, and there's also a freedom in knowing that the success of your enemy, whoever that may be, whether it's an ex or just somebody that's wronged you or whatever, doesn't mean that you can't also be successful. Sometimes it feels like their success means you must be a failure. But like everyone can do fine.
Right.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
I think, but we get trapped in that idea of like, they're happy, so I must be sad.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right. Or they're experiencing X, Y, and Z, those things on that checklist.
Yeah.
So I must be
need more of that.
somehow
I'm not getting
failing
enough.
because I haven't experienced those things yet, or I'm not getting those things, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like tough when you're like single and a woman and at like well into / beyond childbearing years, and like, you know, I don't know. It just there's a lot of pressure to be period.
Oh my God, right.
Right?
That is so true.
I feel like we all kind of get that.
I was recently with a friend who I've known forever, and she is devout, and she would like to be only with her future husband, but she's never been married. She's in her 40s, has never been with anyone because she's committed to that principle. And I mean, this is not new. I mean, this is religious traditions all over the world do this, and monks and priests and nuns and whatever. And I mean, I was like, stop doing that. Like, I'm like, just please stop. Because to me, it like puts so much emphasis on this one thing. But if that's
what do you wish she did instead? Like, what is the thing that she's doing that you want? That is it just being celibate thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay,
I would like it if that you just went with what feels right at the
Okay.
time. Like, if you're with somebody and you feel like doing that and you care for them and they respect you and care for you, just go ahead. Like, let that happen.
Have they felt that way, though?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Well,
Right.
I would totally.
But when you're abstaining purely on this principle that that's putting a lot of eggs, literally and figuratively, in one basket.
Well, in a way, I know that's an extreme.
Yeah.
Like we're saying but in a way I can relate to that because I feel like I'm being so selective and I'm being so particular. Like, I'm like, nope, next, no, like nobody's, I'm like heavy vetting. Like nobody, you know,
like,
so then
just
that
so
kind of makes.
I could be married right now.
Right. I definitely could be.
Right.
Like, I want that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
But I am like, no,
You gotta be
not
sure.
right, not right. And then it's like,
You're like emotionally celibate.
Yes! Jeezy, crazy. Right. The guy I'm dating now, by the way, gave me we have joked a lot about how my ability to hold on to the don't kiss them,
friends.
just be friends thing.
That was
right out the window about
nobody
minutes
really
into our first
believed
date.
you. Like, that wasn't as if we were like, she's going to do it this time.
No,
Not one person thought that.
One person.
Maybe you did.
No, I didn't really either. I was like, that sounds nice. But I am still confident in beating out any other competition that I may have.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
You want to learn something or what?
All right. I was trying to decide like if I had anything else to say about.
Oh yeah, do you have anything else to say on this? Do we?
I just want to add that I hope all my enemies suffer and do not experience joy.
Oh gosh.
But other than that, we can learn something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hope that I can better learn to separate who I know I truly am and what I know I'm truly experiencing from my idea of how others may be interpreting my life, who I am, or what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. Well, and
hope
it's
you
a
guys can too.
daily thing too, because I think that's what trips a lot of people up is they think, okay, I got it all figured out. This is good. I've got it. But you have to re-up every day. You're
This
never
is how
done.
I say in therapy all the time. I'm like, it's a workout program.
Yes, it's
a healthy
it's a
lifestyle.
It's right. It really is.
It's a lifestyle. It really is.
It is.
Oh, and like, it doesn't get easier. You just get better.
Yeah.
In the same way, I tell clients 100 pounds is always that weight that you go to pick up. That 100-pound weight is always going to be 100 pounds. But the more you work and the stronger you get and the better your muscles are and the more comfortable you get and familiar you get with picking that up, the better you are going to be picking up that 100 pounds.
Yeah, the load won't lighten, but
load
you'll become...
is not lighten. That is always 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You will get better.
Yeah, I think it's important because I think people get discouraged when then a week later they struggle and you're like, no, this is every day. You got to do this shit every day.
All the time.
It's like flossing, man. Like,
flossing.
I'm not done.
You ain't
Gotta
done.
do it every day.
Oh, my gosh. That's
You guys flossing. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting. There was a recent study done in England that looked at the divide in personality traits between oldest and youngest siblings.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And what I love is we've got the oldest, youngest sibling thing going right here.
Oh, my God.
Right?
We really do.
I know. So isn't it like I get to take one side of this argument, you get to take the other? Not really argument.
All right,
but
let's hear it.
yeah. So there was this study that was done on, I want to say it was on like 1,500 different people who were then asked, questions about like where they fall in line with, who's calling me? Stop. Why do they get through? Hang on.
I hate
Calls
everyone.
come through. I hate it. See, we hate everybody. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Back to what we were saying. So this was a survey that was done in 2018, and they asked, we wanted to know, like, personality traits of oldest and youngest siblings, as I said, and, like, subjective reviews. Like, what do the oldest children think of themselves, and what do the youngest children think of themselves? What would you say... Are you as a youngest child, what are some of the traits that you think you possess, maybe different from your siblings, that you as a youngest child would say, oh, yes, I am more...
Attention-seeking.
Okay, attention-seeking.
For sure.
All right.
Like performative.
Yeah, what about, would you say you are funnier or less funny than your...
I think I'm funnier.
Okay.
I don't know if I am.
Would you say you are more or less favored by your parents?
More.
More. Would you say you are more easygoing or less easygoing than your oldest sibling?
More.
Would you say that you are more relaxed or less relaxed than the older sibling?
Less.
Okay. How about more responsible?
That's really hard because I am more responsible, but I don't think that's the stereotype.
That is true.
Yeah.
How about more successful?
Yeah.
More organized?
Okay, but before we continue on this journey of birth order, let's just talk about birth and how when you have a baby,
yes,
you want to have good diapers.
This obvious.
Right?
How about diapers, diaper wipes? Other things?
You need wipes, you need diapers. If you have bad diapers on your kid, they wake up in the night, then you can't sleep. Like, what good is that?
Not good.
But Coterie, thankfully, is the solution to this problem because rumor has it, they're magic. I don't know the details. I just know people love them. They can help you keep your baby happy and comfortable and dry.
Yes.
And then you'll be happy. It's like the cashmere of diaper.
Yes.
What more do you want? They were awarded Best Diaper and Wipes by The Bump and Parents.com.
Oh, wow. Oh, I used to...
Rave reviews.
The Bump is a good one.
Rolls-Royce of diapers. Right now, Coterie is partnering with my podcast to offer you 20% off your first order plus free shipping at Coterie.com/braincandy. That's Coterie. It's spelled COTERIE. ERIE.com/braincandy for 20% off and free shipping. Coterie.com/braincandy.
And let me tell you, if you are looking to get a baby shower gift, because we're going to those things.
That's so true.
Get them diapers. Just
That's a
get
great
them
idea.
diapers. Done.
With gentle and safe materials.
You're going to give the best diapers when you give the cashmere diapers.
See, everyone will know. You're
There you
fancy and you're great.
Yeah.
All right, back to our shenanigans. See, okay, this is
Yeah,
why I'm
you start
fucked
going
up.
off, and it is.
Here's why.
Yes.
I tried to tell you this before because this is weird. But if I were talking about little Susie, then the answers are different.
My gosh, you're so right.
I made a decision at the age of 18 that I was going to be a different person. I was going to be organized and ambitious and hardworking and
wait a sec.
disciplined.
Susie made the decision to set her identity based on who she believed she was, rather than who her family told her she was.
That's what I did.
That's exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of this episode.
But from 0 to 18, I was a mess. I was like just carefree, no worry in the world, and totally disorganized, not disciplined in any way. And then I made a choice, and now I'm like weirdo, hyper-focused.
So the big results of this study, like the big conclusion of this study, were the youngest really believes they're the funniest.
Yeah.
And the oldest really believes they're the most responsible.
Yes. Right.
100% true.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you believe you're both?
Right.
Now, okay, also
Well,
this
but
is hilarious.
You actually
because,
are, though.
No, Lucas is the funniest.
Oh, okay. I don't know that about
And
him.
Lucas is so fucking funny. Okay, both of my siblings are so funny. Jordan might be. We're all funny. But Lucas, I have to say, some of my best jokes I've stolen from Lucas. Mm-hmm. This was my thing that I did. He would say, but he was really shy and
so
introverted.
you're the most responsible, and then you just steal jokes.
Correct.
Well, then
I'm a irresponsible thief of jokes.
I think we
and
have our
he
answer.
was totally the funniest, but he wouldn't say the joke loud enough. He would just whisper it, and I was always like sitting next to him, and then I would steal it and say it loud, and then everybody would laugh, and he would look at me with like the saddest look in his eyes. This happened all the time. I'm sure I've talked about this on here
That's
before.
real shitty, Sarah.
Real shitty. I straight up stole his comedy forever, and still to this day, like we'll go out and he'll say something funny, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to write that down. I'm totally saying that on the podcast. It's so funny. So maybe some of the big laughs have definitely been thanks to Lucas. So, but I wonder if he would say he's the funniest.
I'm sure he would.
Lucas would?
Yeah, because if you're saying he is the
Yeah, if
funniest
I'm stealing
and
his
he's a
jokes.
man, they're not exactly
he's
the
so
humble. Oh, they're
Lucas
not known
is so
for that.
humble. Yeah. They're not known for that, but he is.
You should ask him.
So
Text him
oldest
right
children
now.
believe that they were more favored by their parents. They
Can
also
you text
believe
him
that
and
they
ask
were.
him? Maybe he'll write back before we're done.
Oh yeah. What do we want to ask? Do you think you're the funniest?
Which sibling of ours is the funniest?
Okay.
But I do think, like, now that all of this, like, birth order stuff is so common knowledge, I do wonder to what extent it influences our self-perception. And that idea of, like, the oldest sibling always thinks they're responsible and the youngest sibling always thinks they're the most funny or entertaining or whatever. Like, I wonder to what extent it's just because we know we're supposed to be, quote-unquote. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say don't try to appease me with this answer.
Yeah, just real deal, like funniest, innate funny.
Real deal.
'Cause
who's funniest?
I mean, I am the funniest though.
You are.
Thank you, Sarah. But I'm really not. I'm really not.
Oh, your siblings are really
I'm really
funny.
not. I know. Well, but that's the thing. Like when you grow up in a home with trauma, everyone ends up real
Everybody's
funny.
Right. What is that hilarious? I put a TikTok talk up once that said, I'd like to thank Mom and Dad for causing me all kinds of trauma because it made me fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Now.
If you think of in your mind, listener, think of the least funny person you know, and then think about their childhood or their home life, their family.
Right.
It was probably stable and healthy.
Consistent. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Boring.
Which, it's, you give and take there.
Give and take. There not going to be any... Right.
I don't know anybody that's really funny who had like a totally healthy upbringing. I just don't.
I don't. I mean, you're probably you're probably the funniest person I know.
Well, that's real nice, but...
Yeah. And I know your upbringing. It was fun, it is fun. So, like, this is what happens. It's like, Susie's like my family, so I just like go on dates with people and then talk about Susie on my dates. Like, she's like my family.
So
and
nice.
So I'll be like, oh, let me tell her. She was like one of those, like, she was jealous for me because we had orange juice kind of families. She's
God, yeah. That's like the height of opulence.
Right. She's like, oh, you were one of those orange juice families.
Because the richer you are, the more beverages you have at your house.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you, like Khloe Kardashian or whoever it was, one of the Kardashians showed her fridge on Cribs, and it was just like beverages. Only beverages.
Yeah. And fancy beverages are so fucking expensive. I went to a grocery store up in Breckenridge. All I did was buy liquid. $107.
For real?
What
kind of liquid? Wine?
Not even booze. Not any with alcohol. It was like I got like a couple of like these green drinks, a watermelon juice that I really liked. I got these like protein like coffee like drinks.
Rich people love beverages.
Love them.
Hey,
and
Squats,
like,
can you make that a meme for me?
Rich people love beverages. That's such a
like
good
if
one.
you don't have the context, that would be great.
It's so great. And it's like, I feel like even without context, people will be like, yeah, I agree with this.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but trauma makes people funny because it's a coping strategy.
I
have thought about this, Sarah, and like you like to talk about it like it's almost like an unhealthy coping strategy. True or false?
What?
Humor.
No, comedy?
Yeah.
No, I do. I think it's here's the thing. This is like, do you want regular Sarah? Do you want therapist Sarah? When I if I'm in the,
I
if
think
I'm in
I
a
want
setting,
therapist right now.
if I'm in a setting where somebody, right.
Yeah.
So like in therapy,
Got
if
it.
we're using comedy to deflect, to avoid going there,
Got it.
like
That's
I'll
different.
call that out and then say like, let's hold this. Like
you
when
should
you
say
feel
like
the
you're,
urge.
but can you tell them like you're super funny? I
yeah,
love it.
Because
Okay.
they are. And
Okay.
they always know. And I make sure, like, well, I can't help it because that's the problem is it takes me a little while to even point out the fact that we're deflecting with humor because
you're having fun.
I laugh and I'm a best audience. So I'm like almost encouraging of it. And then I'll like continue the joke. And then I have to be like, whoa, we're in therapy. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Let's work on this.
Okay.
And it's because
That's
we're all, and because my clients are fucking smart and so amazing. They all know how to use comedy so well that sometimes you miss it. You're like, you get caught up in the basically the way that they're using it to deflect and as a coping strategy is working so well. It's working on their therapist
like,
too.
Sometimes you've said it to me, but like usually when I'm doing that, it's just with, if I don't want to share with that person or even in that moment, like let's say it's with you, like it's not the time to like get down and dirty. Right. But in your session, I see why you.
It depends on what the intention is, what you're getting out of it. And like outside of my work as a therapist, like I'll let it go. Yeah.
Because it is so funny and also it is helpful.
It's
because
the most helpful, Susie.
Tragedy
like,
is funny sometimes.
You have to laugh at it, and it's the only thing we do. And like, if only so like we can keep friends, because like we can't just like talk about our childhoods without throwing on a fucking punchline, or else people will become uncomfortable and not want to hang out with us because they're like, oh,
exactly. I'm glad we've
that
come
sounds
to an
sad.
agreement.
It's kind of like what's her name that we love, the Hannah Gatsby.
Yeah.
About how she stopped making the tragedy a punchline.
Right.
Because
then you avoid processing it.
Yes.
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 All right. I'm glad we've come to this agreement.
Yeah. Good episode. Okay. Let's learn a few more things.
Wait, yeah, because I want
what?
to know, like, what it says about the oldest and youngest. Like,
I mean, this was a very... It feels like...
and you know how, like, middle children right now are being like, they're just doing oldest and youngest,
100%
just like every day of my
middle
life.
children are going full middle child right now, being like, what about me? Like, that is so true.
It's
oh
always
my gosh.
them, Marsha.
Always that, Marsha. Oh,
That's
it was really
hilarious.
just... I mean, it was... I feel like a lot of these kind of studies were done during COVID because people were at home.
Yeah.
And so we have these like random data sampling, like collections from sample sizes that aren't really great enough to draw any conclusions and are limited to just location. You know, this is just in England. I don't know how this would translate in the United States. You know, there's a lot of things that can be variables in that, like United States idea of like individualism and exceptionalism, all this stuff, and what is fun, all whatever it is, you know, different. Like British humor, English, like American humor, totally different. So there's like a lot of stuff that it's like a loosey. It's like, don't, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Just kind of funny because I also wanted to. I knew that you would be the youngest sibling, who would also think they were the funniest.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I
and
do.
they are. Yeah.
Or at least the most, you know, like I said, performative.
Well,
You know.
in a way, now that you say that, doesn't the little kid have to be? Because
Right.
parents are so distracted
Yeah.
unless you are funny, doing something that you have to. And the middle child is the one who's misbehaving and getting the attention for that, maybe, or like getting the attention in like the other kind of ways. So you have to get attention in a completely unique and almost the more intellectual way. And I always say this, that using humor as a coping strategy is the most intellectual, like the smartest way, coping strategy there is.
Besides
That's
what?
why I say
What
all
are
my
the
clients
other
are so smart
options?
because,
just like
just like
substance
straight up
abuse?
deflection. Like, yes, 100%. Absolutely,
fair.
Susie.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It is more work. That's so true.
It takes more work. It takes more brain power. It takes a lot to kind of be that clever in a way. So
Yeah,
it makes sense that the youngest children are often the most inventive. Well, not they are the most inventive. You're going to see like Bill Gates was the youngest child. No, what's his name? Apple
Jobs.
guy. Steve Jobs was
I
the
always
youngest
get
child.
them mixed up.
I know, me too. Yeah. So, like, youngest children are the inventors because they have to invent a new creative way to
Wow.
do whatever it is. And I think that same thing could be said for getting the parents' attention.
Right. Well, it is crowded, right? Because I was the youngest of 5. It was very noisy. And Sarah, have you been to my mom's house? You've just
Nope.
heard about it. Mm-hmm. It's like, as I said before, like 1,000 square feet of livable space. So, like, it's a lot of people in a small space. So you do have to perform to get any kind of thing. But everyone says that the oldest children, because they are quickly ushered out of like the baby stage, they have to take on like almost a parental role.
Yes, the parentified child.
And then they observe the family unit and they know what would help their parents, which is to be like fall in line, get straight A's, do all the good stuff. And you take on that burden of like placating your parents because they're stressed about these other bozos they gave birth to, right?
Oh, God.
Isn't
It's
that
so
the
true.
idea?
Yes, 100%.
And
This
you
oldest
felt
child
that.
is like, oh, God, I got it. Hang on. You're so right.
Did you feel that pressure?
100%.
Like, do you remember when your brothers were introduced to the home? Like, here's this baby fucking things up. What's that like? I don't know.
That's right. You don't know. That's so interesting. That's like a really interesting thing to think about. That like the introduction to a sibling
Yeah.
and how that you'd adjust.
Like, we've
to
never
that.
had to think of other people. Really, you know?
Oh my God!
Like, here's this
So,
new fucking asshole.
This is really funny. When my mom went into labor with my brother Jordan, I was I think I was just about to turn 4. So I was 3 and a little bit. And I was emotionally manipulative as they come. And I was like, nope, you can't go. You can't go. Look, I'm sick. And I made myself throw up.
Oh my God, the throw up returns.
Yeah, I've been a puker since day one. Like,
story.
oh, and then it makes me like, am I using that for emotional manipulation now?
That is so interesting.
In ways that I don't even know. Like, is this subconscious that maybe this is like my go-to? Like, I'm struggling, help me. It's definitely what I used when I was mountain biking.
So sad.
I know. I'm actually just this has been a very therapeutic episode for me. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, nope, can't go. Bleh, I'm sick. Bleh. And I like threw, and my mom said that. She was like, you made yourself throw up, and she was like, no, I have to go to the hospital, Sarah. Sorry. But my mom recognized that this was going to be a difficult transition for me, or that it was going to be weird for me to go from being the only child to, and my mom was like, she didn't put me down for the first 3 months. She didn't put me down.
Oh, like, yes, right.
She strapped me to her, and she took showers with me. Like, she did not put me down. And then, all of the care, like, she had me reading, and, like, she was rich. It was so
pressure's on.
One-on-one, like, intense. Like, she was, like, brain training me. Like, I was, like, some sort of, like, I don't know, Russian Olympic athlete that she was like, we've got to get you to maximum performance. Yes.
You must perform.
That was it. Like, and like fed me strict diet of liver because it was like she read was like the brain food. She's like, I'm going to grow this brain. So it went from like full time, like I was number one thing to now I have got to share with a boy. And,
I mean, it worked.
It did work. And yeah, she says the same thing. She's like, look, all your success. That was me. Look what I did. I did this. So, shout out to Mom.
I agree with her.
She did a good job. She definitely made me a reader. Definitely made that brain work.
Her emphasis on education was so consequential and effective.
That's why we're in this mess, Susie.
I'm jealous. That sounds really nice, though.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. And she did a good job of introducing my baby brother to me. She got this toy, this doll, that looked just like Jordan. There was a baby doll that like went to the bathroom and like you changed its diapers and it was like a whole thing. And so she was like, and she gave me presents. Like she invited me in there. I remember when right before she went in labor, she was in labor and she invited me in and she was like, okay, I got a lunchbox and a thermos. I could remember this thermos. I was so fucking excited about the thermos because you twisted the top and the little straw popped up and it had a little string you'd put over your neck. You know what I'm talking about? And I think it was the kind that had like the glitter in the side where you could shake it and it like, I remember. Wow. And it was so, I was like so excited that I got presents. Didn't happen with Lucas. And I was like, what the hell? Where are my presents? And that's because she went into labor like in 2 seconds and like had the baby in the back of an ambulance. And I was like, what the hell?
Who's this guy?
I don't want any presents.
Where's my thermos?
And so she was like, my mom was like, when Jordan was born, she was like, okay, I have a baby and you have a baby. And we're going to both take care of our babies.
So
and when
nice.
I'm taking care of my baby, you take care of your baby. Because she knew that I was going to get jealous and be like, why don't you take care of me? Me. So she was like, used that as a time to be like, you take care. And I think that's when the parentified child thing started because I realized I now have a responsibility in taking care of this child. So there are consequences to every good. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. No, right. There is always a flip side.
Always.
Yeah.
It was great. It was wonderful. It worked.
That's why, on intervention and stuff, whenever they give their origin story of like, here's what went wrong. And there's always like a divorce. That's almost without exception a part of the story. Mm-hmm. But there's also like, frequently they're like, I was never good enough for my parents. And like that rings in my head all the time because I'll think about that with Lincoln and I'll be like, am I being too critical or like too expecting too much? But then I'm like, you're actually not good enough. Like, like in those moments.
I don't think oldest children feel that I was never good enough for my parents thing.
You do?
I don't.
You're saying that you don't think oldest ones do? I think that's a refrain.
You do?
Yeah, that they feel like they wanted to be perfect and they never felt like they could do it. And they tried to get like all the good grades.
I mean, I did want to be perfect, want to be best, but then I felt like I was like, oh, yeah.
You're like, I'm enough.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I got it. I'm good. What more do you want?
Well,
Straight A's and graduated
true.
from honors for grad school? Like what?
Yeah,
Check.
Sarah, because
I do need the continuing external validation, so maybe that's it.
this is the secret sauce that I want, though, because I had great confidence all of my childhood, and I think it sounds like you did too.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Where did that come from?
No, mine?
Both of us, like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Was that provided to us? Is it just our DNA? Because that is the secret to life.
Confidence.
Yeah, feeling
Oh,
good about who you
and I had
are.
that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is. Because as soon as that stops is when I'm like, oh.
That's when shit goes sideways.
Yes.
But I don't know how it happens. And that is the mystery.
Okay. We got to figure out the answer to how we feel confident about ourselves all the time.
But we have to wind down.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
like,
I
we'll
know
have
we've
to
been going.
postpone that hypothesis testing.
Don't worry. Next time I'll come with, like, more facts. And, like, we'll
I
talk
think
about...
People are very into what we were talking about. Sarah.
Okay.
This is the confidence speaking.
Yeah. Oh! Yeah,
I'm like,
that's just
they
the
love
confidence.
us.
They love it. You know, we
covered a lot.
Gosh, what did we learn?
Sarah's
so much.
ex got married. We unpacked it.
We unpacked it.
But we unpacked it through the lens of, like, how we all feel like we're comparing our lives to other people and how complicated that can be and how, like, shitty that can be. Yes. And the lies that we tell ourselves about social media.
Totally. The assumptions we make.
I'm looking at my notes and none of them make sense. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the
that's
fuck did we
probably-
talk about?
Yeah. This is what happens when Susie takes me to therapy. You know?
And then, the oldest and youngest siblings, which I think is a whole thing.
Yeah, if you are a youngest child, do you think that you're the funniest? We'll conduct our
But
own
also, are you?
Now, I wonder that what they need is a follow-up study that's like when these families were asked which is the funniest sibling, how many of them said the youngest?
Now that I would like to know.
Right.
I should send a group text to my siblings. Just be like,
Yeah, please do. Because so far, nothing. I need to send it to Jordan, too. I bet Jordan would say Lucas.
And he might be the best person to ask because,
The middle child.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys tell the truth. They're so
They
sad
do.
about it, but they will.
Yeah. And he's going to be like, I'm
children.
sorry, it ain't you.
All right. Well, can you guys leave us 5-star review? Because remember how they said Sarah stammered too much? That was weird.
I didn't stammer at all in this one.
I should edit together like all the times you did.
Yeah.
And put,
I
don't
did,
know
but
that
now
you
I'm like
did.
using other filler words.
That's good.
I think in this
Okay.
one I was like, something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're losing it.
We are.
All right, people. Just leave us a review, whatever. Okay, we got to go.
We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.